Hey everybody, it's Jared Blazer with Blazing the Outdoors, and I just want to do a quick fly time video here with delayed harvest season right around the corner. I want to go over one of my favorite delayed harvest waters flies, and that is the pink squirmy. And I know a lot of you fly fishing purists out there right now are probably cussing me, saying that's not a real fly, but yes it is. It is a fly, and it catches a lot of fish. And there's about 50 million different ways to tie this fly that I've seen so far. I'm going to show you my favorite way to tie it. I think it makes it really durable, and I just think it really makes it nice, going through the water. A lot of the flies you see, like your material is all twisted around and bent certain ways and stuff, but these just lay out really nice and straight right along your hook shank. So I think it makes a really nice looking fly. Not that it really matters to the fish, I believe, but it matters to me. So this is a Honic 450 size 10. We're going to start our thread right behind this bend here where the hook eye is. And you don't want to wrap too much and build up a whole lot, and you'll see why here in just a second. It's important. Snip off your excess. We're going to take our first piece of squirmy material. We're going to lay it in right here where we started our thread. And you want your first couple of wraps to be pretty loose, or else you can actually cut through the squirmy material with your thread. It helps if you use thicker thread and make it lay out kind of flat. But it's already starting to, want to wrap around the hook shank, as you can see, but you just got to kind of fight with it, try to keep it on top here. Make a couple of wraps to hold it in place. Now this little tag in here, I'm going to start stretching it pretty tight, and I'm going to wrap back a few wraps to hold it down. And then we're going to snip it off. Then we're going to wrap up a couple more wraps. And we're actually going to whip finish a couple times. Move that back around. Snip our thread off. Now the bead we're using is a Fulling Mill 3.2 millimeter metallic red slotted. And this is the trick here. You're going to take your hook back out of the vise, and we're actually going to put the bead on the hook shank backwards as to what you normally would on a jig hook. So we're going to have that large open slot towards the hook eye, and what that does is that's going to allow it to slip right over where you tied this squirmy material in. So we're just going to wiggle it back and forth, slide it right down over the top of it. You might have to put a little pressure on it, force it a little bit, but once it's in place, it is there. It's not going to move. And it covers up your thread wraps where you lock this material down, so it helps to make it more durable. I'm going to start our thread right back behind that bead. We're going to dress the hook all the way back to the hook bend. Now, I'm going to take our second piece of material, and this one needs to be just a little bit longer than your front one because you're going to need to use more of it. You're going to kind of find the halfway point on it. And right there around that halfway point is where you want to tie it in on your hook bend. Again, just like before, you want to start out with a couple of loose wraps so you don't cut through that material. And then you can start locking it down a little tighter. Kind of keep it on top of the hook shank. That's what's going to help it lay out nice and straight across your hook shank. So then we're going to wrap our thread right back up against the bead, and we're going to take this tag end here and we're going to start wrapping it around this hook shank. And you don't want to wrap it super tight, because what that's going to do is it's going to put a lot of pressure on the squirmy material right here along the shank. And something like even the teeth of a fish, if it just rubs that the wrong way and it's stretched real tight, well, then it's just going to cut it and make it come unraveled. But once you get up to your bead, you're just going to keep wrapping it in. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's actually pushing this material straight back over the top of your thread wraps right here where you lock that material in. And so that's just going to make it even more durable by covering up those thread wraps. Alright, once you got that wrapped on there, we're going to take our thread and we're going to lock this material down right behind that bead. And it's okay to wrap these fairly tight, because I want these thread wraps to go right down in between that squirmy material and this bead to where they're not going to be exposed either. So then you got your little tag in here, pull it tight, snip it off. We're going to do a couple of whip finishes in here, right down in behind this bead. Make sure that's pulled down nice and snug. We're going to snip our thread. Now, as you can see, we have a nice lateral straight squirmy worm right here along the top of our hook shank. It's not twisted around all weird. It don't look real funky. There's no exposed thread wraps. These thread wraps are covered. Your thread wraps down in here behind your bead are covered. The ones locking this front piece in here are covered. And it just makes the fly just a lot more durable. You don't have to worry about your thread wraps brushing against rocks, against the teeth of the fish, anything. So just makes it more durable, makes it last longer. You know, you ain't changing out flies every 10 seconds. But I know during the summertime I like to use red and brown on these squirmies, but it seems like during the fall and winter, once that water temperature starts dropping down into the low 50s and lower, they really start keying in on this pink color. So yeah, these work really good for delayed harvest season during the fall and winter. But I appreciate you watching. Thanks.